Like not a thing happens that an ayah doesn't come to mind. Everything becomes a reminder of the Qur'an, and the Qur'an becomes a reminder for everything else. There's this constant back and forth between the world of creation, the ayat of creation, and the world of the Qur'an, the ayat of the Qur'an. Between these two worlds, you're constantly bouncing back and forth. Just all the time. This is الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. Long time ago I told you guys I did this experiment with myself. I can't maintain it. I'm trying to. I can't maintain it though. It's a struggle. One has to. This is a reminder for myself too. You know, you say, well, how is everything a reminder? How can all creation be a reminder? So okay, let me just see. I was driving with a bunch of MSA kids. I still remember it was from Santa Clara to UC Davis. It was a drive, right? So I'm driving there, and this guy's driving like 85. They're flooring it. I was like, does that remind me of anything? Yeah, كَلَّا بَلْ تُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةَ. No, you love whatever comes quickly. You love to rush. It's like, whoa. And then, you know, I'm looking outside, I said, let me just look outside. And there's cows in the field. These cows are like almost right next to the highway. The cars go by. What does a squirrel do when a car goes by? Well, squirrels usually go up a tree, deer comes in front of the car, bird flies off, snake goes in its hole, right? Good or bad, but there's some reaction. How does a cow react? Doesn't even look up. Car buzzes by 2 feet from it, its fur goes frrrr. It doesn't even look up, it's still grazing, like nothing. It's shocking. And you appreciate, Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْغَافِلُونَ. Those people are like cattle. No, they're even more lost. They are the ultimately heedless. No idea, oblivious, ghafil, oblivious. No idea what's going on around you. This is ghafil. What an example, comparing them to what? An'am, cattle, because the cattle by definition are oblivious. The lion could be standing behind the cow for like 20 minutes, it won't know. If you stand there and it's like, chewing away, no problem. You know, that oblivious. And we're going further to see a billboard. It was actually a while back, you could tell, because they were still selling homes. So the billboard was a new home, a family hugging each other, and it says, own the American dream. You ever see those? Right? I was like, wow. وَمَسَاكِنُ تَرْضَوْنَهَا أَحَبَّ إِلَيْكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَجِهَادٍ فِي سَبِيلِهِ فَتَرَبَّصُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. If your homes that you're so pleased with are more beloved to you and Allah and His Messenger and struggling in their path, and you just wait until Allah comes with His decision. Wow. And this guy is happy with his family right now. Allah says, إِنَّهُ كَانَ فِي أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. He used to be happy with his family. Billboard became a khutbah. Everything around you starts turning into, you know, you see mountains in a distance. وَسُيِّرَتِ الْجِبَالِ فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا. You look up, you see a few clouds. وَالسَّحَابِ الْمُسَخَّرِ بَيْنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَآيَاتٍ. Man, you can't escape it. If you start thinking, if you really, like, and I'm not saying it happens to me automatically. You have to make an effort to try and do it. But if you do, it'll start happening for you. I read something in the Quran about that. Even if you don't know the ayah by heart, I read something about that. What did Allah say about that? Let me look it up. Even if you're thinking like that, you don't have to cite the ayat to do it. It just starts becoming a way you think. When people talk a certain way, people say some things to you, people are saying obnoxious things to you, وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا يَقُولُونَ. Watch your home. Be patient over what they're saying and just leave them. You know? Somebody's being obnoxious to you, إِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. Just walk away. If you're going in the mall and every single reflection you check yourself out. You know? Then يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا. They walk on the earth with humility. They're not self-absorbed. You just get reminded. You remind yourself. The mirror will remind you, hey, don't look at yourself like that. Look over there. You know? You're about to raise your voice. Hey, buddy! Come over here. Yo! يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَصْوَاتِهِمْ. Believers are told, lower their voices. Keep your voice low. Don't just yell and scream. SubhanAllah. Everything will become a reminder For yourself. You yourself will become a reminder to yourself. Allah doesn't even let us didn't even leave our fingers. You know? Allah Azza wa Jalla says, an najma'a idama. You know, yas'alu ayyana yawmul qiyamah. Allah Azza wa Jalla, in that surah Allah says, فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَلَّن نَجْمَعَ عِظَامَهُ بَلَا قَادِرِينَ عَلَىٰ أَن نُسَوِّيَ بَنَانَهُ. We're even capable of putting his fingertips back together. You get a cut on your finger, or you get a fracture or something, then you realize how intricate these things are, and how they can't even put a cast on your finger because it's too small. And they have to just put a little splint so you don't move it, and hopefully it'll heal itself. This is too intricate. Allah says these things will be gone, I'll put them back together perfectly again. Al-Banan. SubhanAllah. This is الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. Then, on top of that, وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And they think deeply. تَفَكَّرَ يَتَفَكَّرُ تَفَكُّرًا. To think deeply. To think a lot about the creation of the skies and the earth. Where did this all come from? Why is this all here? What is its reality? On the one hand, there's a spiritual exercise, and on the other hand, there is a deep intellectual exercise. Our religion, on the one hand, calls for a spiritual awakening, and on the other hand, calls for an intellectual awakening. We're supposed to be people of deep thought. We're supposed to be thinkers, smart people. We're not one at the expense of the other. You know, previous nations, one of them, their hearts became hard. I don't have to tell you which one. You can figure that out yourself. Their hearts became hard like rock, or even worse. You remember that? And on the other hand, there was a nation who was very spiritual, but they refused to use their minds to understand even the most basic things. But what's happening in the Muslim Ummah, you've got extremes too. You've got people that are very intellectual, but there's no dhikr in their life. And you have people that do a lot of dhikr, but there's no intellectual discourse in their life when it comes to their deen. Right? There's a schism, there's a break. Quran doesn't let you break the two. Quran is the very thing that will make everyone cry in salat, and it's the same thing that will make a mufassir write and write and write, and his pen will get dry, but he won't run out of things to write, because it will make him think. It combines the spiritual and the intellectual like no other document does. There is no other document that is both a spiritual exercise and an intellectual one at the same time. Allah did that for us as a miraculous favor, so we never become a nation that's either entirely spiritual or entirely intellectual. We have that balance between both. We're balanced human beings. When we as a nation then become distant from the Quran, as a nation, as a people, when the average Muslim is not aware of the Quran and doesn't have a personal relationship with the Quran, it has many consequences. One of its necessary consequences is a break between the spiritual and the intellectual. And you'll have people that are either this inclined or that inclined. They're not going to be able to find the balance between the two. And they'll try to go every which creative direction to try to find something that will fill either a spiritual void or an intellectual void, both of which were filled had we been people of Quran. It's supposed to be at the center of our personality, and all the other studies in Islam beautify it. It's at the center of who we are, Quranic studies, and a relationship with the Quran. وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. Now their heart and their mind says the same thing. It's not just the heart that said it, it's not just the mind. The heart and the mind are now singing the same song, and they're saying, our Master, you did not create this without any purpose, purposelessly. Batal, to be wasteful, to be without a purpose. Haqq actually means to have a purpose, truth. This thought alone just makes this person say, you didn't create this in vain. And by the way, this is describing a person who's not a Muslim yet. You'll see that in a second. This thought process, Allah is describing someone whose fitrah, which was a balance between a sound heart and a sound mind, that's what a fitrah is, was able to maintain their fitrah, and this is a conclusion they reached themselves. This cannot be without purpose. مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. Subhanaka. You are way too perfect to be attributed that it can be said that this was created without a purpose. You're way too above it. To find a flaw or say that creation is purposeless is an accusation against Allah. He's too perfect that this should be said about him. Subhanaka. And then this person even reaches an additional conclusion, فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Then protect us, all of us. Now he doesn't say me, he says all of us, from the punishment of the fire. And what this illustrates is the person even realizes this can't be the only world. He's way too perfect to leave an unjust world unpaid. There must be some kind of consequence. فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ.